Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. Just in a couple of hours, we have the core inflation reports coming in. And as you can see, the market is positioned pretty balanced. So I want to give a closer look to the liquidity and focus how this expected additional volatility for the day could end up playing out. For that, we're going to focus on the daily, on the 4-hour time frame, what the whales are currently doing, which is very interesting. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I put out one of these videos. And if you're wondering why there was no update last night, that's because the video went into the Coin Bureau Trading. I put 3 videos a week in the evening in the Coin Bureau Trading channel. Make sure that you're following so you don't miss any of the updates. And guys, yesterday we made it to 665 likes with 5,000 views with the largest selling wall ever video. Thanks so much for that. Hopefully you're gonna like this video too. Let's get into it. The interest on Bitcoin, at least when it comes to Google Trends, continues to skyrocket. Although this is the first time that I refresh the chart and we have an increase from the day before. We are still at 70, but we have to say that we've been going parabolic from the low 10s straight into 70. That means that there are hordes of retail, not necessarily buying all of them, but starting to feel the fear of missing out. It almost feels like one of those scenes of the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings, when they start coming in all at once and you have to be standing just with your sword by yourself, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of them. And at the same time, the inflows last night were still impressive with quite a large 800. Today, I want to give a special indicator. This is Cerberus and it's printing a golden cell. At the end of the video, I'm going to explain what this means. I'm going to show you the past performance in bull markets and bear markets. It's going to be very quick and I'm sure that you're going to appreciate this indicator. If you want to learn more about that, make sure you go to playlists in my YouTube channel and hit trading tutorials. There is a specific tutorial for Cerberus explaining everything in depth. If you want to learn more about that, go and watch that video. The expectations for the core inflation today at 1:30 p.m. in UK time is to maintain the inflation and the inflation rate year on year to increase just 20 points. There is a relation between quantitative easing and quantitative tightening and the outcomes of this meeting. Particularly, an increase in the inflation rate might indicate that either they need to sustain for longer the interest rates to keep it under control, or that they are going to slow down at a slower pace. Either way, and personally, I don't really care that much about these numbers. I'm pretty sure that they are completely manipulated, not just the inflation rates, but the interest rates. Because in practice, they do whatever they want with that thing, with those numbers. But under the hood, if they do print money or not, that is what really we should be caring about. If at the end of the day we get enough liquidity, Bitcoin pumps. If we don't have liquidity and it's draining, liquidity causes Bitcoin to dump. And I'm pretty sure that they just use these numbers just to manipulate markets to not to pump and not to dump. And the balance sheet and the total reserve is what really matters. And a few days ago, on the 4th of November, we were talking about this breakout in terms of the balance sheet. They're adding up into it, causing it to have a very humble breakout like these ones that we can see in there. Hopefully, it could be at least the beginning of one of those, if we get lucky. Either of those did really help for having a next leg of the bull market. And coincidentally, as we are talking about this small breakout, we started seeing 2 of the largest weekly and daily candles of Bitcoin. At the same time, the Fed was saying that they are still in quantitative tightening. So you tell me what matters the most, what they say or what we see in the charts. I hope it's obvious. Something else that is currently starting to look like rolling over or is the price action of Bitcoin. You can see that we are putting now on the daily lower highs and lower lows. Luckily for the bulls, this is still within the context of a potential bullish flag. And that is thanks to this not having retraced a lot. It's barely a 5% pullback. And considering that this has moved 35%, that is nothing. And it's still a bull flag that can continue the uptrend, potentially hitting the liquidity that is still up until 92K, very heavy. And you can see below the price up until 74K, nothing compares to that. If investors got disappointed or if we have crazy volatility during the report today, a very easy target to the downside is this liquidity located at 84K. It starts actually from just below 85 and it ends at 83K. It's not very heavy, not very attractive compared to what is above, but if they had an excuse to go to some target below juicy enough to get bothered going down, then you have this one in here. For a juicier one and a lot more expanded across 5K in this case, you have the range starting from 81.5 to 76.2. Sorry, that one has the most concentration at around 79, and it could potentially do the trick of closing the CME gap at 77K. It is a tough one, guys, because this is located 10K below the price from where we are, in a huge 13.3K from the top, the recent highs. But as we've been saying, in a move of 23.6K, moving down 10K is not a lot. Watch my video yesterday when I show you the VWAP and the Fibonacci retracement, showing that this is within the golden pocket area. So even if we go there, that's still a bullish retracement. And that's just because this has been incredibly big move. Okay, let's cover the 4 hour. We broke down on the 4 hour and we are still on the way down. There hasn't been a lot of pullback in terms of price, and we haven't seen any sort of dead cat bounce into the resistance. At the moment, the resistance is at 74. This is formed by this trend line connecting the top and the next move up in here at 86. And this is something very interesting about RSI. Even if we are in a channel coming down and we go to 74 as a resistance and we close the 4 hour right there, that will take the price into roughly 90K once again. And that is still from the point of view of RSI 4 hour hitting a resistance and putting a lower high and continuing with the momentum coming down. And this is what I was thinking this morning. I need to cover the fact that we have made it to RSI 4 hour 90. That is not something that we do very frequently. In here I'm showing you from October 2023 how many times we've been at the 89s and 90s. We did it in October 2023, we did it in February 2024, and we have done it this week. So in 1 year it's been roughly 3 times. And looking at the October one, you can see that after we reach a level so overextended, the RSI needs to reset. In this case, it reset up until 44, then it had a dead cat bounce to 79, and then it came to finally do the full reset at 26. Okay, let's keep mental note of these values and understand what is the most typical things that happen after you reach such a huge level of RSI in a shorter time frames. In here, we reach almost 91. Then we did an initial reset up until 60 and a huge dead cat bounce back into 87. The final reset was at 29 in March. So the final reset takes quite a long time. Okay, this is 20 days. The final reset on this one in October 2023 took 21 days. And I'm not showing you what the RSI does just to show you the RSI. The most important thing is when the RSI is doing these things, you need to wonder, what is the price doing there? And if you are thinking, hey, obvious, the price is gonna crash, you're wrong. You are wrong, and that means that you haven't paid attention enough to RSI. Watch my tutorials for free, start with that, and then watch all my videos, and you're gonna learn 1 or 2 things that are not very intuitive, at least if you're just getting started with using RSI. In this area in here, we're going to zoom in a little bit more into October 2023. You can see the RSI is resetting, and it's got the first reset up until 43, followed by the dead cat bounce into almost 80. You can see the price went just sideways. We were within a pump. That was also banana zone. And the reset kept the price going sideways, and in the dead cat bounce it put a new high at 37K relative to 34, 35. It's 2K further with the channel going down. Momentum is coming down, not putting a higher high, and the price continues going high. And those are bearish divergences. The actual reset at an RSI of 26, you will think probably, oh, Bitcoin must be crashing really hard. But that low in here is 35K, which is the same price of the RSI 90. Is that intuitive? Is that obvious? Not at all. If we go to the RSI 90 of February, you get kind of the same thing. You first reset at 60, price goes sideways, then you hit again 88, which is extremely high. You put a new high at the all-time high at 69K, the previous cycle. And when you finally reset at 29, you are at the price of 60K, which is slightly below the 64. If I show you just the RSI, you probably think, oh, this must be at 73K and this must be at 49K. But it's one of those times where you are pumping, you get all these bearish divergences, and they're called like that for a reason. So after all that long loop, we come back into the 4 hour and we see that we have reached 90 and we are coming down in here. We need to accept that even if we have broken down on the 4 hour, there is a high chance that the reset doesn't necessarily take the price that low and that we can still put a high. And how high can that be? Well, we have a very good candidate. No one knows the future. That could be 200K. I don't know, but I do have a good candidate on top of the table that we can observe immediately. And it's this 92K limit there where we end with the red liquidity. A second candidate could be where do we end with all the blue liquidity, which now is spanning into 98.4K for the first time. So you have two candidates there. If we do that horse kick at some point and things revert into bullish, remember, the trend is your friend until the end. Has it been the end? Not necessarily. We have still the context of a bull flag and this indecision in the short term that we are seeing with liquidity from longs and shorts aiming to trade the event today are very balanced at the moment. We just have a spike in here once again of deposits of large whales. This is hitting the moving average at 0.81, still far from the ratio of 1 where we get the same values of withdrawals versus deposits from large whales. Is this still within the normal in an accumulation area? If we compare it with what we were doing in September, October, it looks still pretty normal. Even in here, we breach above the ratio of 1 and the price kept going into banana zone. Accumulation was still a thing. Some people took profits in here, some people took profits in here, but price survived that and carry on going higher. Remember, in these top areas in here, there is some distribution, and that's because retail is buying the top and whales start distributing. In here, there was a huge distribution. On the daily, we are still below the resistance of 85 RSI. We've been like for 2 or 3 days talking about RSI 85 daily containing the price. And RSI 85 on the first day, it was at 89.4K. So we could say that that was a good call. On the second day, it kept the price below again. This is the third day and we are still below that line in orange. Now that resistance of RSI 85 is at 94.6. So the price projection, if we went back into RSI 85, has moved up. As I was explaining, it was going to happen if the price comes down, the targets always go away. That's also covered in the tutorial when we cover reverse RSI calculations. And we have what we were talking about yesterday, which is the RSI coming into the support and testing this level of 80.79 as support. That is bullish because it allows that reverse RSI at 85 now being at 94K. So this means that if this holds and then we push back to the same RSI, now instead of getting into 89.5, we can get into 94. That's the beauty of maths. It's amazing. And I have the feeling that I haven't covered necessarily enough the short term, but I think it's so balanced at the moment that there's nothing really that stands out that we can say it's an obvious one. And you know the drill, guys. When there's nothing obvious and you can go high and you can go low, what do we do? I hope you have been watching my videos and you already know. Alright, let's go into Cerberus. This is an indicator I created 2 years ago, and I put out a trading tutorial about this, introducing the indicator. This is pretty much an indicator that looks at all the stable coins and is presented as an oscillator that moves between 0 and 100, just like a stochastic RSI. Indeed, it uses stochastic RSI calculations to present the data to make it normalized and easy to read, easy to understand. It's got a bunch of signals: warning buys, buys, warning sells, sells, and there are also golden sells. And in this week, we're about to confirm a golden sell by the end of the week in Sunday. If we print this signal, this is an early announcement because it's not confirmed. It might get invalidated if the price goes lower. I don't know yet, but heads up, because this is a golden sell. The last one we had was at 73.5, the previous all-time high this bull market. And before that, we had one in here at 34.7k. After that, it had a drawdown to the upside and the price continued going higher. So in bull markets, I pay attention to golden sells, but in bull markets, I'm a lot more interested in warning buys and buys because I follow the trend. We are in a bull market and those signals tend to provide much better entries. But still, my golden sells are areas where I pay attention. That means that there is too much that went out into stable coins and got invested. It entered in the red area where typically there's profit taking. Maybe not now, but at some point in the next month, we are going to see some profit taking and there should be some pullback. Bear market, I think it's too early and I don't have enough data to say whether we are going to end the bull market right now and enter into a bear market. But the pullback, certainly, it's on the table now that we have a golden sell. Whether we are going to continue going up or if we are going to have a situation like March in 2024 or March in 2023 or January in 2023, which all of them after the signal had a performance of -13. The performance in here was -24 and the performance of October with the golden sell was negative. It did a 95% further up. So since this golden sell is also in October and we are in a bull market, it can be taken just as a small warning, not actionable, at least from my side. If I saw many more signals like this in confluence, then I'm sure I will make a video highlighting all those things, just like we did in March in 2024 when we were selling Bitcoin at 73.5. Guys, if you're looking for an exchange to trade that actually performs well, I use Bybit for my trading bots, I use it for my manual trading, and currently they are offering 30,000 in rewards if you use my link in the description. By using that link, you also get the lowest fees. But if you're sick and tired of KYC, needing to use a VPN, or that they're telling you that the exchange doesn't work where you live, then consider opening an account on Bluffing. I already opened 2 accounts with 2 separate emails, one for altcoin trading, one for Bitcoin. There's no limits on how many accounts you can use, but if you open an account, make sure that you do with the link in the description so you can claim these bonuses that are automatically applying as long as you deposit over $100. Be quick because this promotion is going to end on the 22nd of November. There's still 9 days left for you to claim them. Indeed, in the description, any of the products that you pick and decide to open an account, like High Block Capital, Lux Algo, any of the exchanges, trading bot platforms, all of them come with exclusive discounts and bonuses. And by doing so, you are supporting the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.